Last night, we introduced you to a Ponzi schemer who is being called a Madoff on crack by some. He has conned hedge funds and rich friends into investing in lawsuits in South Florida. Well, it turns out those cases and all the clients were fake. But there are real companies out there that make big bucks bankrolling court cases. And Abby Boudreau takes a closer look at this little-known, little-regulated industry. Take a look.
Not many people have heard of litigation financing, but it's a growing and largely unregulated industry. And it's not just for hedge funds or big investors. More and more companies are now investing in smaller personal injury type cases. Cases like Tabitha Mullings.
That's the part that amazes me.
I was doing the black under the one.
Mullings has to relearn how to do the simplest things.
Yes.
What happened to you?
I was in a coma for 2.5 weeks, but
in 2008, Mullings says she was sent home from the Brooklyn Hospital Center, diagnosed with kidney stones. She developed an infection, septic shock. Her hands and feet had to be amputated.
No hands, no feet, and no job.
She sued, but the hospital and her doctors denied liability, setting up a lawsuit that could take years. Unable to work, money got tight, and she couldn't get a loan from a bank.
So there's a certain point, though, that you did need help, and not just physical help, but you needed financial help as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
My bills were like so sky high, and you know, my kids needed money for lunch or for the bus, rent.
Legally, Mullings could not borrow money from her lawyer, but her attorney did suggest an alternative you may know about if you watch late night TV.
We need more time. You've had this case for over 3.5 years.
When Harvey Hirschfeld isn't playing a judge in his company's ads,
she should call 1-800-LAW-CASH.
He runs LawCash, a company that invests in lawsuits like Mullings.
How is your company able to help Tabitha Mullings?
We provided the means to help her where she needed money to be able to get around.
What kind of rates are you talking about?
It all depends on what the risk profile is and the state of the case. Each case
is there sort of a range?
2 to 4% a month is really probably what the general range would be.
So that does add up over time.
It does. This is not for everyone, but if you need the capital, if you need the money to stop a foreclosure, stop an eviction, providing a legal funding for that gives them the means to keep their case open.
Mullings signed a contract to receive $75,000 from LawCash.
If you were awarded a settlement, then you pay that back with the accrued fees associated.
That's correct.
And to you, that's worth it?
Absolutely.
And Abby is back with me right now. And Abby, explain to us that even during this time of recession, these companies are doing really well. Explain why.
Well, basically, normally if people are waiting for a settlement and they need money to pay their bills, they ask friends and family for money. But right now, when times are tough and money is tight, family and friends can't just dish out a bunch of money, and banks aren't giving loans. So these companies are doing really well because there's a need for these kinds of companies. And people are willing to pay those accrued fees.
And that may be the only option in many cases. So how difficult are the contracts to understand?
Right. Well, the contracts, some are easy to read and some are very complicated. And what was interesting when we interviewed Tabitha Mullings, she wasn't real clear. At the time that she signed the contract, she probably was clear and she probably understood the contract. But when I asked her point blank, well, what are your accrued fees? Do you know how much you're going to be owing if you do win a settlement? And she just had a real hard time. I think these things are very complicated and not very easy to understand, and people need to be very careful.
Yeah, really fascinating story. Abby Boudreau for us tonight. Abby, thanks.